What's up, New York Giants fans? Back at it here with another New York Giants video. And today has been an extremely busy day for Big Blue during the second wave of free agency. The Giants have added 3 veterans that I want to go over and how they can impact this 2023 roster. But first, as always, if you haven't followed us yet, and if you're new to the channel, make sure to check us out on all of our social media on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Big Blue Avenue. We appreciate all of you continued support. And let's get into the first signing. The first signing here, we have a veteran, former Buffalo Bill, New York Jet, and Washington Redskin in Jamison Crowder. Giants signed to a 1-year deal. I was a little surprised and confused by this signing, but over the past hour, I've thought about it. I've sat on it, and I saw all the injuries that happened in the wide receiver room last season, and this move makes a whole lot of sense. This is virtually the Richie James replacement. Slot receiver depth is very important on this roster. We know Sterling Shepard and Wan'Dale Robinson are both currently recovering from torn ACLs. Paris Campbell, our other slot receiver who we signed from the Indianapolis Colts, has an injury history as well. Jamison Crowder has worked out with quarterback Daniel Jones in the past. Again, this is another pure sign that the Giants are investing in Daniel Jones long-term following his 4-year contract extension. Both players attended Duke at different times. Little fun fact, there's now 4 Duke players on the Giants roster. Crowder's a small guy, 5'9", 177-pound build, 29 years old, so he's a little bit older and better than Richie James. 4th-round pick in 2015 by the formerly known Washington Redskins out of Duke University. Over his 8-year career, he's played for 3 different teams, Washington, the Jets, and then Buffalo last season. Again, he was in Buffalo without Dable and Shane. He missed 13 games last season due to an ankle injury. He couldn't do much. He had just 6 catches for 60 yards. In 2021, with the Jets, he had 51 catches for 417 yards and 2 touchdowns. 2020 was a good year for him as well. 699 receiving yards and 6 touchdown receptions. And in 2019, he had some excellent numbers, 78 receptions, 833 yards, and 6 touchdowns for New York. So 2019 was his best year with the Jets. That was Sam Darnold's 2nd year in the NFL. And in 2016 with Washington, he shined as well. This was really his coming out party, his 2nd year as a pro. And I remember it because the Giants struggled to cover him, quite frankly. He had 67 catches for 847 yards and 7 touchdowns. So clearly, what am I saying? He's a guy who will get you 50-plus catches a season at the middle of the field. He's really good with out routes and hitches. He can move the chains. I like it a lot. He's also a seasoned specialist, returned 95 punts for 777 yards throughout the course of his career. And his career stats, 415 catches, over 4,600 yards, or averaging over 11 yards per catch and 28 touchdowns. So again, nothing eye-popping, but this is a guy that is going to provide quality depth, maybe compete for the starting slot receiver spot. If not, you could relegate him to a backup role. You would have him return punts. I mean, there's a lot of things on the table for Jamison Crowder in 2023 as he enters his 9th NFL season. So after taking some time to think about it, I am okay with this signing. Obviously, a lot of people are still waiting for that alpha wide receiver, but as we all know, it will likely come in the draft, whether it's on day 1 or day 2. Now, moving on to the next signing, Amani Oruwariye, the cornerback from the Detroit Lions, signed also to a 1-year deal. This is a big-sized corner, 6'2", 202 pounds, with 9 career interceptions and 24 passes defended. He's just 27 years old, a 5th-round pick by the Detroit Lions back in 2019. He's played in 53 career games with 36 starts. He got a little bit lost in the depth chart last season. He was starting some weeks. He was backup the other weeks. He was special teams. He was inactive. I mean, he was everything that you could think of. But according to PFF, he surrendered 12 career touchdowns, over 2,600 career snaps in the NFL. This past season, 2022, a bit of a down year for him. Played just 50% of Detroit's defensive snaps, starting 5 games, appearing in 14. with 44 tackles. Now, 2021, he had an outstanding season. He had 6 career interceptions, including a spectacular grab off of a Kyler Murray pass. He had 11 pass breakups, 2 tackles for loss, and 57 tackles. He played very well in coverage in 2021, playing 98% of the defensive snaps. And this signing comes just a day or two after the Giants add Duke cornerback Leonard Johnson. So it'll be interesting to see if the Giants will add to the cornerback group in the draft. We know Darnay Holmes is entering a contract year. Aaron Robinson dealing with an appendix injury this past season. We know Adoree Jackson is technically still on the last year of his 3-year deal, even though many people expect him to be extended. Amani Oruwariye is definitely a guy that can make some things happen. He played 98% of the defensive snaps in 2021. 2020, he played 92% of the defensive snaps. And there is a tie here, former teammates with Saquon Barkley at Penn State. So that is another interesting addition to the Giants secondary. We'll see if he adapts well to this press man scheme. And quickly, before I get to the third and last signing, quick reminder and shout out to our sponsor, BetUS. You can sign up with our promo code below at Join125. Get a 125% sign up bonus where you can bet on the go, anywhere, anytime, straight from your mobile device. If you want to bet on tonight's Sweet 16 March Madness games, go check out BetUS. That's America's #1 favorite sportsbook where the game begins. And finally, let's talk about this signing. It's another tight end, so it comes about a week after the Giants acquired Darren Waller from the Las Vegas Raiders via trade. The Giants signed former Bills tight end Tommy Sweeney. He's a big blocking tight end with 18 career catches. A lot of people might be confused by this signing, but there's a reason why they did it, and I actually had him as a potential add in my free agency preview video. Tommy Sweeney was drafted by the Bills in 2019 in the 7th round. He is a guy who is primarily a blocker. Darren Waller can do both. Bellinger can do both. Chris Myrick is primarily a blocker. You could use him in that H-back role. And then there's Lawrence Cager. So those are the 5 tight ends on the Giants roster. The Giants have fixed their tight end room completely now. And I'm excited to see which of these tight ends make the roster this season. We know Waller and Bellinger are the 2 locks, but let's let Myrick, Sweeney, and Cager duke it out for some roster spots. I like it. However, I will say Sweeney was mainly inactive for the Buffalo Bills this past season. As I mentioned, he's big and physical, but only 18 career receptions. He's not going to do much in the passing game. He's 6'5", 251 pounds. He's 27 years of age. Spent the last 4 seasons with the Bills, playing in 24 games with 4 starts. This past year, he had just 1 catch for 7 yards. In 2021, he had 9 catches for 44 yards and 1 score. 2020, he missed all of 2020. He was diagnosed with myocarditis. That's also known as inflammation to the heart. So that's definitely something that is a little bit concerning, but it seems like Sweeney is in much better health now. And I believe his rookie campaign, he had 8 catches for 114 yards back in 2019. So again, this is a guy who's going to compete for a roster spot. He's big, he's bulky, and I'm impressed with what Joe Schoen has done with the Giants tight end room. I've got to say I'm very happy. I don't expect us to draft a tight end, especially now after the moves that this team has made. Again, cheap veterans on 1-year deals, short-term signings, and all these guys could have impacts on the team in 2023. We know the Giants need to improve their pass protection, so Tommy Sweeney is a viable option who can play maybe 20 to 30% of the snaps this season, and maybe he can teach Waller or Bellinger a thing or two when it comes to pass protection. I'm definitely excited to see what each of these 3 players do for Big Blue this upcoming season. One more time, folks. If you like what you watch, make sure to check out our YouTube channel at Big Blue Avenue. Hit that like button, ring the bell for notifications. Also, punch the subscribe button as well if you like watching me and going over all this analysis. Appreciate you all. And if you want to follow us on Instagram and Twitter as well, where we do our breaking news live updates, we're there at Big Blue Avenue. Appreciate you all, folks. Jamison Crowder, Amani Oruwariye, Tommy Sweeney are the newest additions to Big Blue. Without further ado, let's go Big Blue.